Hey guys, so I got this request actually several times on how to do pinking on a model horse for customization and so forth. So I thought I'd go ahead and do this video now. Don't mind the heater in the background. It's the main heater to the house, and of course it makes noise. But so yeah. But anyways, there's several ways that you could do pinking on a model. You could do it with acrylics, you could do it with pastel, you could do it with airbrush, you know. So I'm actually going to do the acrylic method on this model. You can do the pastel method. All you do is you just take a Q-tip and you just get some light pink pastel and you just swash it on the area that you want pink, and then of course you spray and then repeat to get it darker. But I actually like the acrylic method a little bit better. It's easier to do, it doesn't take as long, and it's just overall better. So what you're going to need is you're going to need, of course, your horse that you want pinking on. You're going to need some acrylic paint. This is Skin Tone, and you can buy it at Walmart. It's just regular folk art acrylic paint. I did have some very expensive acrylic paint. It was about $6 a tube, and the tube is about this big, and it's very expensive, and it works wonderfully. But the thing is that it is $6, and I just can't afford that anymore. It's just too expensive. So of course I use this cheaper paint, and because I've been working with it so long, whoop, I know what to do. So a couple of things that you're going to need is, of course, like a rag, you know, any old rag, and you're going to need several different sized paintbrushes. Walmart also sells the cheaper brand of paintbrushes. I actually like to get the paintbrushes from there as well because you know, paintbrushes are expensive if you go to your local art store or craft store. They are very expensive. I had one paintbrush that I bought. It was about $7. It was very expensive. And what happened was, I actually forgot I left it in the water. And of course, if you leave paintbrush in water, the paintbrush is done for. So it was pretty bad. But anyways, you'll probably need several different sized paintbrushes. I've got a whole bunch here. I've got some round ones, I've got some flat ones, you know. So you'll have to figure out what works best for you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to clean a little work area here. You're going to need some sort of pan to put your paint in and some water. You're just going to put a little bit of your acrylic paint onto the pan. And let me zoom in here, guys. Whoop, wrong way. Guys, I gotta move this up a little bit. There we go. Okay, now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take my flat brush. Whoop, sorry, blurry. Looks like this, flat brush. I'm gonna dip my paintbrush in some water, and I'm going to start getting this just smooth out. Now what I like to do is, if I feel that the paint for this model is a little bit too pinky, I'll take a little bit of white and just add some to the paint. Now sometimes, you know, of course, depending on the model and especially the horse that you're referencing, I have seen so many shades of pink on horses, it's not even funny. I've just seen numerous shades of pink. I've seen dark pink, light pink. I've seen just pale enough pink that it almost looks white. I've seen like a grayish pink. So just depending on what you want to do, just go with the flow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually, let me see if I can position this guy right. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have this very light pink, and I'm just going to start filling in the designated area that needs to be pink. And of course, this is very thin. it would be the same consistency of your paint if you were to do white markings. And I like to have it on a little bit of a thin side just because it's easier to work with. Let me move this down, guys. I know you're having problems seeing here. Whoop, there we go. Okay. There we go. That's better. Okay. So, dabbing a little bit of this on here. Now, there's two ways that you could do to get this to blend. You can either take white acrylic paint, go over the back top of it, or what you could do is you can take your finger and just dab lightly around the edges so it blends it in. Of course, you wipe your finger off. Or you could take a Q-tip, just depending if you don't want to get your finger dirty. But, of course, I'm an artist, so my fingers get dirty anyways. So what we're going to do now is, as this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in the nose a little bit darker, because you do want to give that nice 3D effect going on. And I'm going to start kind of blending in a little this around a little bit more, kind of bring it up here a little bit up her face. Just got to work it up there, and of course I'm going to dab it again to help smooth it out. And you know, this will take several coats to do. And of course this method works well for areas such as the udders, sheath areas if you have an Appaloosa, around the eyes, stuff like that. And then of course the areas that are like between the lips, under the chin sometimes, the nose area, stuff like that, you're going to actually want to darken just slightly so that it does give a nice, very depth 3D tone to it. So here's, you can see that I've started to get her nose pink, and it's blended in. It's very thin paint. You don't want to just glob it on there because it will not blend well. I see a lot of people, what they do is they just paint like this round circle around the horse's muzzle. That's not correct. The actual pinking sometimes will actually go all the way up the face, especially if you have a paint horse or an Appaloosa, and it looks very choppy and poorly done. You want to blend it in with the white so it looks like one tone, more of like if you look at it, like if you ever seen a car that when you look at it, it has 3 different colors in it. It's got like that pearly effect. One minute it's blue, the next minute it's purple, and then could be green for all you know. I've seen a lot of cars like that, and it's actually a very cool technique to do, but of course it takes forever to do. So I'm going to start darkening. I'm going to go directly into my dark pink paint. I'm going to put a little bit of this inside her nose here. Wipe this off, go back to my old color, and I'm going to start just blending the darker paint in with the lighter paint color. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put some around her eye, because I feel she needs some around her eye. So it's the same technique. You just put a little bit around there and you need to smooth it out. You can use your finger, Q-tip, or whatever. And if you do feel that maybe you got a little bit too dark, you can go back and use your white paint just to cover it up. Or if you have your horse sprayed, you could just go over and wash it off, which is nice. So I'm not going to actually darken too much around her eyes. The reason being is that the horse that I was looking at for color and stuff actually did not have a super dark eye, but I'm just going to darken just a slight bit just to kind of give a depth tone around the eyelid of the horse. Okay. And then you can also put some of that darker tone in the lip itself if you wanted to. I like to do that just to show that there is a little bit of depth there. Whoops, sorry guys. I can't stay in frame today. What's up with that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start going down to her udders now. Got to mix up some more paint here. Okay, I'm going to go down to her udders, so let's see if I can get a, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to start pinking up her udders down here. Same technique, same way I did the face. Now, I've seen horses that have had like pinking on their udders go all the way up their stomachs. Now, it does just depend on you if you want to bring it all the way up. You could put it on the legs just to give a little bit of a depth of tone. It really just depends on what you want to do and your preference. So, hold on guys, I gotta get a different angle here because it's hard for me to get this angle when I have to show. So let me dab some here, do over here a little bit. So it's basically the same technique that you would do on the face for any other part on the body. You can also do pinking on the pasterns of the legs. You could do pinking on the hocks. You could do pinking just, you know, anywhere technically where the skin is pink underneath or is very thin. If you look at white horses, pure white horses that actually don't have a gray dark skin, you'll find pink in some areas. You'll find it sometimes on horses with stockings, like my horse. If you get his legs wet, he's actually got pink skin under there. It's not like a dark color, it's actually pink. So it's just basically, it's where the pink skin is showing through under the white. You could do that, just kind of just varies in preference and stuff. So yeah, like I said, you know, it will take several coats on some areas, especially if it's very thinned out paint, which I prefer to use because then I can blend it and smooth it out and it's not so prominent and dark. But yeah, you would do this with like just plain old, like if you had a snip, you do the same thing. If you had a stripe, you do the same thing. You would do this with any pink markings. This is the easiest to do in my opinion, other than the pastel technique. Airbrush can get a little bit complicated because, you know, of course, if you don't have everything masked off or sealed off, you're going to get pink in other places that you may not want pink. Unless you have a really, really fine needle in your airbrush, which can get a little bit costly depending on your airbrush and stuff like that. But overall, it's easier just to do it with acrylic paint. Just a lot easier. So I just recommend that. So yeah, but you just keep basically blending and smoothing out the paint. You know, you take your time, and once you're done, you of course need to seal it. And this technique is also good for the horse's sheath, like on a male horse, like if you've got a Appaloosa paint horse or something like that. It's very good for that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of darker tone here around her udders. Got to kind of smooth that out a little bit. Alright, there we go. That's good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's basically all the pinking I'm going to do on her. There's not too much I want to do on her. So, yeah. Okay, guys, so that's basically how you pink a horse. If you got any questions, let me know, and I will see what I can do.